And more is our political panel tonight. John Thomas is a Republican strategist and the managing director at Nestpoint. Dave Jacobson is a Democratic strategist and the co-founder of J&Z Strategies. It's been 10 years since you first appeared on TV together, I hear. Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Long-time sort of pair sparring partner here on CNN International. It's been years since you've been back together.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy to have the reunion here.
Thank you for bringing us
back
together.
Yeah. It's a big night.
We used to call it frenemies.
Frenemies. So they're back together tonight. Let's see how it goes. Dave, let's start with you. The impact of the Epstein files. What do you think of the fact that it's finally potentially coming out? We'll see once we actually get them.
There's some silver lining that democracy may still work, right? Because it's clear that the American people were salivating for this, and the fact that you had such a resounding vote in Congress, I think underscores the fact that Congress was trying to reflect the will of the people, which is a good thing. Also, I think Donald Trump and his cronies sort of know the fundamentals of this. Like, Donald Trump has a 20% approval rating when it comes to the Epstein files, according to the Reuters poll out today.
Your thoughts on the whole thing?
I think Trump wanted to go this to go away, not because he's afraid of what's in the files, but I think he felt that it was a distraction from his agenda. But he read the tea leaves. And look, I'm fully supportive of the president, but the president campaigned on releasing these files, and you can't make this a platform of your campaign and then say, I don't want to release them, when you get into office. So look, I think it's the right thing to do, and I'm glad, better late than never, to see him step up to the plate here.
Why, though, the push so intensely to not do this, when so far we don't have any evidence that he's accused of any sort of criminal wrongdoing or really anything with any underage people?
The president you're talking about? Yeah, I think what's happening here is we're not going to see any bombshell about the president released. Quite frankly, we would have seen that under the Biden era if there had been something there. What I think we're seeing here is there's probably a lot of people that were donors to the president, friends with the president, names we all know that will be made public and get dragged into this Epstein controversy, maybe even just guilt by association. I think the president wanted to spare them from that, but look, the public opinion is spoken, and so they're going to get dragged into it.
And we're seeing some of that with Larry Summers, who's been a longtime Democratic advisor to Obama, to Clinton, and others, and now he's certainly being shamed publicly.
I mean, yeah, you're seeing like senators like Elizabeth Warren, her calling him to immediately resign from his position at Harvard, which I think is a good thing. Like, we need to hold these people accountable. It doesn't matter what political party they're associated with. Like, if you're associating with somebody who is a criminal sex offender, a pedophile, you ought not to be in a position of power. Sorry.
What's the deal with Marjorie Taylor Greene and this divorce? I mean, you're the MAGA guy. You understand this world. And who is MAGA siding with in this?
Sure. Well, look, Marjorie Taylor Greene is like a lot of Republicans in this moment, which is she wanted the files released. She's America First, and part of that America First agenda this last time was releasing the files. So I can't really blame Marjorie for being consistent. You could maybe argue that she shouldn't have picked such a direct fight with the president like Thomas Massie. But look, she wants these things released, and she won this fight.
Do you think there's like another agenda here? It's kind of hard for me to figure out what exactly is happening.
I was going to actually ask John, because he obviously knows the MAGA world much more than I wonder, like, is she jockeying for president in 2028? Is she trying to like sort of draw a line in the sand, like, I'm the America First person? Because obviously you're seeing Ted Cruz being rumored about running in 2028, obviously the vice president. Like, is she trying to carve out some space on this?
She might, but it's not going to work. I mean, it's a fine line between disagreeing with the president and attacking the president. Mm-hmm. I think she went too far in this instance, even if her motivation, at least externally, might be righteous. The Republican Party, by and large, is still lockstep with the president. So picking such a hard-line fight, only few characters like Elon Musk are welcome back into the fold.
Yeah, and he's the richest man in the world. So that helps him, too. Meanwhile, speaking of rich, Tom Steyer is joining the California governor's race. The billionaire tried to run for president, didn't work, now running. Let's be clear here. You've got a horse in this race. You're an advisor to Tony Thurmond, who's running for governor, so you're clearly biased here.
No doubt.
But just sort of your reaction, Thurmond's reaction to what's happening and Tom Steyer getting into this race.
I would say, like, as a Democrat, billionaires are probably the least popular amongst us. Like, definitely don't want to push him out of the party. Like, we want him to be part of the Big Tent, but I'm not convinced that being a billionaire is going to be compelling to the California electorate.
Aren't you happy when they fund you, though?
Yeah, no doubt, definitely.
And J.B. Pritzker and everybody else, you take the money, right?
Totally,
You're
yes,
happy
we will take it, yes.
Yeah.
We are happy to have them
George
as part
Soros
of the Big
keeps
Tent.
spending the money?
I'm just not convinced at this moment in time, and timing is everything in politics, that a billionaire wins. And look, the guy spent $318 million in his campaign for president and didn't win one state. In fact, Daily Beast did a study. He paid about $1,600 per vote when he ran for president. Also, he spent $12 million for the Yes on Prop 50. And after that campaign, there was a poll by EMC Research that came out showing him only at 3%. So I'm not convinced that if he spends $100 million or $200 million, he's going to win this race. But we welcome him to the race. It's a democracy. Anybody can run.
And Mike Bloomberg spent even more money in that race and won, I think, like one delegate or something as well. No billionaire has won the governor's race in California. Your thoughts on Steyer jumping in?
Sure. Look, money is important to get your message out. California has expensive media markets. But at the end of the day, money can get your message out, but it doesn't necessarily persuade. And I think Tom Steyer's problem is, I'm thinking about it, he's the climate change guy. And while Democrats may still enjoy talking about climate change, on the Richter scale of intensity for campaigns, and Dave and I do this for a living, climate change is down here. It's a box you got to check, but running singularly on that issue, and now Tom's going to pivot to being the anti-Trump guy? It seems like an incongruent disconnect. So his ads they're just probably not going to land. But having a lot of money helps, Dave.
No doubt.
And that makes him a player.
Resources are always a good thing when you're running a campaign.
Yeah. Who do you think's the front runner to be the governor of California?
Oh, that's a great question. I would have said Porter until a few weeks ago, but I think we really haven't seen the front runner yet. I mean, I think Rick Caruso, if he gets in, has a lot of money. He has an advantage. I think he can bring together moderate Republicans. I don't know yet. I think that the front runner really hasn't announced yet.
So, which I'm sure you don't disagree with that as somebody who's running a campaign right now. But let's talk about an even further away campaign, which is kind of crazy to think about, which is 2028. Just yesterday, I was at USC with Mike Donnellan, who's the senior advisor to President Biden, sort of the Biden whisperer, kind of speaking on behalf of Biden. And I asked him a question of, who do you think is the natural successor to Biden and could win the presidency? At first, he did mention the name Kamala Harris, but here's what else he said.
Of the people that are being talked about now, or maybe people that aren't being talked about now, who's the most natural successor to President Biden?
I think one of the people who is really, is underestimated, who would have a really powerful candidacy would be Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
You think she could win a general election, though?
Yes.
That was at the USC Center for the Political Future. Interesting that the president, who was seen as a moderate by some, would put forward probably the most progressive of the candidates. How do you read that?
My take is that Mike Donnellan is completely and fundamentally divorced from reality. This is the guy who thought, I'm sorry, but this is the guy who thought Joe Biden should stay in the race after that horrifying debate. Right?
And double down on that yesterday with me.
No doubt. And so, I mean, at a time when I feel like Democrats were salivating for change, for a debate, for a real primary, right, last cycle, we were robbed of that by Mike Donnellan and President Biden because they thought he was equipped and in a position to serve another 4 years. Clearly, America saw the opposite. And so I'm not necessarily convinced that he's the best strategist to sort of pontificate about the future of the Democratic Party. But we'll see. I think we've got a great bench and a lot of good candidates who are going to run.
Your thoughts on AOC?
I actually think he's potentially right. I mean, I look at the elections that we just saw a couple weeks ago in some of these blue states, and where was the intensity in the Democratic base? It was on the further left candidates, the Mondamis of the world. And I think an AOC candidate in 2028 could enjoy a lot of the same dynamics President Trump enjoyed in 2016. Tons of Democrats running, splicing up the traditional lanes, leaving her with a high floor but a low ceiling in the 20s, maybe low 30s, which would be enough for her to run out the clock and be the Democratic nominee. Now, I think she gets bulldozed in a general, but the other thing is she's authentic. I think she's nuts on being too far left, but I believe that she believes what she's saying. And authenticity in politics is something you just can't buy.
And you think about it, Bernie Sanders got pretty close twice, and there's a lot of people that are dedicated to that. But yeah, he said that she could win the general election. That might be a tougher putt. We'll see. Got a long way to go. Hopefully we can talk to you guys a lot in between. Thank you so much, Dave and John. Great to have you guys back together again. We'll be back with more on the